Okay, let's go ahead and open up our base project just simply by double-clicking on that icon there. And sure enough, here we go. We can see the scene and game windows are updated, and our hierarchy is also updated, and it has a few more objects in it than it did before. Now, what I would recommend before we even do anything in here is let's go ahead and save this as a new scene file. So that way, if we make a mistake or if we want to come back and make another version, we can just go back to this original audio walkthrough project or scene file. So let's go ahead and save this scene as a new scene. To do that, simply go up to File, you guessed it, Save Scene As, and let's give it a new name. Let's call it Miles Unity Scene 01. That's what I'm going to call it. And it'll automatically save it in the right place for us into our project folder. So we'll go ahead and hit save. And there it is, Miles Unity Scene 01. And it says up here, Miles Unity Scene 01, so we're in the right ballpark. Now, if you want to go ahead and get organized, you can just go ahead and right-click out here or control-click and just say, you can create a new folder. For example, we could call this Scene Files, and we can just go ahead and drag and drop stuff around in here. And Unity is really good at keeping track of things within a file structure. Other programs are not, but that's one of Unity's kind of nice features. So that's where the scene files will be. And we could also go ahead and make a new folder, let's say for our audio files. So notice I accidentally put this into the scene files, no problem, just drag and drop it out. And then I can select these. Oops. I'm selecting them one at a time. Shift, drag, there we go. And there we go. Drag those into the audio. So we'll just keep those cleaned up there. Now we'll have to talk about this scene window for a bit before we do anything fancy. And what we need to do is just get really familiar with how to navigate around in the scene view. If you've used 3D programs before, it's actually really easy because it's very similar to moving around in Maya or Blender or something like that. So here's how to navigate around in the scene window. If you hold down on the Option key and then click and drag with your left mouse button, you will rotate the camera view. And you'll see this little gizmo up here rotating accordingly, and that gizmo helps you to orient where you are. Y is up and down, X is side to side, and Z is basically coming out towards the camera, towards the viewer. Though of course as we change our orientation, that changes as well. You can click on any one of these colored doodads and you can get a pure top view that way. Which will be very useful for laying things out in our simple scene. You could get a front view or that's the front view, and this X view is of course the right side view. If you want to go back to the perspective view, we call it, just click on the middle, the yellow box in the middle, and we'll get our perspective view. So Option left drag lets us rotate around the scene. If we Option middle mouse, click and drag, we will get a pan. So we can pan our scene side to side or up and down that way. Very useful. And if we Option right click, we zoom in and out or dolly. Now you can also middle mouse wheel scroll in and out as well. So just a few more things about this scene here. You can click on any object out here and you can move things around, which I don't particularly recommend you do at this point unless you're feeling kind of sassy. You can rotate them And if you're doing anything in the perspective view, it's pretty critical that you only do it on one axis at a time. So that's the way you rotate on that axis, and if you want to rotate it on this axis, you do this, and so on and so forth. And movement is the same. And I'm just clicking up here to change from move, rotate, and scale. And if you want to get fancy, you can use the shortcuts, which are the same as in Maya. W gives you the move tool, E gives you rotate, R gives you scale. But we're not really anticipating that you'll be doing really anything with the visual objects in this scene, so we don't have to worry about that too much. Also, you have out here, you'll notice that as you select things, you can also select things within the hierarchy view as well. And as you select things here, they're selected automatically in the hierarchy. So as you zoom in, you'll see that there's a capsule-like thing here. And it has, you can't really see it yet because the light's in the way. There we go. You can see it better here. You can see that there's a little teeny camera there, and above it is a light. So this is called the first-person controller. It's a group of things, and if it contains this the capsule and a camera there, and that's what we're going to be using to navigate around our scene. Don't worry about that right now. Just actually probably you don't have to even touch it, but just wanted to let you know that it's there. And then we also have a bit of lighting here. If you click on this or just click on lighting, you'll see that we've got this what's called I think it's an omni light, or a point light actually, excuse me, a point light. And we're not going to worry about that either, but this is a standard kind of a 3D lighting setup you can find here in Unity. So again, if you're interested in 3D, all that good stuff is available to you up here. Now let's take a look at the game view for a moment. So the game view is actually what this camera here in the scene is looking out into and seeing. So here's the cool thing about the way we've got this set up, is that if you just go over here and click on the play button, after a second that'll turn blue, and that means it's on. And so now my mouse is acting like a first-person controller, and I can use either the cursor keys or the WASD keys to actually navigate around in this environment. And now one of the nice things is that you can see that as I navigate down here in the game view, which is what I would actually see in the game and what your viewer will ultimately see, we're actually getting an update up here in the actual scene view, which is pretty cool. So you can kind of see what's going on. If you want, you can actually cruise up here during the game and click on Y, for example, and zoom back out with the scroll wheel. And now as I navigate around here back in the game view, you can see where I am. Whoops, there I am. You can see where I am in the top view. So that gives you a nice, real kind of schematic, diagrammatic view of where you're actually going. And this is going to be really useful for our when we start to place our sound objects in our scene. Just one more thing to mention. To get out of game view, game mode, which is very important if you want to make edits to anything, you can either just ignore the game mode for a second and just go up here and click on the play button, and now you're out of game mode. Or Command P, I believe, is the shortcut that you can toggle back and forth on. So now we're in game mode, and Command P, we're not in game mode anymore. And to get back to our perspective view, click on the yellow box and it zooms us back. Okay, so that is a basic introduction to how to move around in Unity. In the next video, I'll actually show you how to add sound objects. I think I lied about that in the last video. Said it was going to be this video, but who can you trust these days? All right.